I got infinity money.
We didn't fuck that one up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Backboard Podcast, episode 26. I'm Omar. Next to me is Max, and Earl is on the IR for today. Unfortunately, he cannot speak. I'm also on the IR, but I'm like questionable to play, right? Is that how we're doing this?
Because Omar's got the questionable designation. I'm like,
I got the little question mark above my head there.
Yeah, it's like the Knicks. We're dealing with so many injuries, and I'm basically just the Dante DiVincenzo. I'm the only one left. We got Brunson out, we got Josh Hart out. I just got to come through, carry, hit some threes.
Brunson wasn't out.
Well, no, for that stretch where he was, when it was nobody and it was just Dante and Josh trying to play. But yeah, we're gonna do our best here. Earl literally cannot talk, so.
I mean, it's unfortunate, right?
Probably not the best injury to sustain for a podcast.
Exactly, right?
But yeah, hopefully he'll be back next week.
Hey, man, can you do a podcast? Can't talk. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
tough
sorry.
to be on a podcast when you're
Earl, I love you. I hope you're getting better, man. But it's just a funny coincidence.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, we've got some injury problems, but we'll be ready for the playoffs. We'll be healthy, hopefully.
Yeah, for the playoffs, definitely. But since we dove in right into the Knicks, I guess we could talk about it. I'm not gonna say it's been disappointing. However, I will say I expected this. Listen, whenever we're gonna go without 3 out of our 5 starters, we're gonna suffer. Even if Isaiah Hartenstein is playing at a great level, which he hasn't been recently because Achua's been getting more minutes. And by the way, he's been playing amazing too. So it's like I love the flexibility we have on the big man end. But I don't know, because now I can see why we would prefer to have Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup over Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, it's been a rough stretch for the Knicks. Definitely, the injuries that have been there for the last couple of weeks with Julius Randle and OG Anunoby being out really hurts because you're losing our second highest points per game scorer and our best, perimeter defender. So, the defense is taking a nosedive. The offense just does not look good. We don't have, the power forward depth to be able to put 4 guys who can shoot the ball out there at once. So you're seeing a lot of Achua at the 4. And while he's done the best he can, I think the Warriors, other teams have definitely done this as well, but the Warriors did the best job of exposing the 2 big lineup, where this is what I've always said. If you put Precious at the 4 and iHeart at the 5 or Sims at the 5, teams are just going to pack the paint, and it's just going to make Brunson's life so much harder that you can just throw double teams at him, and you're essentially playing 4-on-5 because they only need to put 1 center in the paint. Then they could just have 1 free defender to just go guard whoever. So the spacing is awful. Yeah. It just really doesn't work. So it makes everyone's life so much harder. Isaiah Hartenstein seems to be playing through the Achilles injury. That's why he's not really playing as great as he once was.
Yeah, I really don't want him playing either. Like, as dumb as it sounds, and I understand if we have to take a few L's, but bro, if Isaiah Hartenstein even twists the wrong way, it's like his the ligament is gone. So it's like I don't even want him to like touch the floor yet, even though it's like weird to say. But
it's clear that he's not 100%. That he's just playing through it, which he kind of has to because we don't really have that many other players. It's not like we have a healthy team right now.
I don't like that though, because that's the thing. If he sits, we can ensure his health. But if he plays, he can sustain a way worse injury that can take him out for what we saw from Klay Thompson 2 years.
I'm sure if there was a real risk of that, he wouldn't be out there. They wouldn't take a risk like that with him. I think, he's probably well enough to play. It's just he's not going to be at 100%. I don't think he would have been. If he wasn't cleared to play, he wasn't cleared to play.
I get that.
We just don't have the luxury right now of having a lot of front court bodies. Other than him and Precious and, Jericho, there really is no one else left in our front court because Bogdanovich can't seem to play more than 12, 15 minutes a game for one reason or another, which is very odd. But it's just rough. I think it is nice that I think a lot of the league is taking notice of the Knicks, and they kind of respect how good we are, and they know how good we can be if we're healthy. And certainly I don't think any team wants to see us in the playoffs. It's been a long time since I've been able to say that, but a fully healthy team come playoffs, which is still a very real possibility. I think the Knicks beat writers, Woj, guys close to the situation have been saying that there's a chance that all 3 of them, we could be fully healthy by the end of March, which would be best case scenario. But obviously, right now the East is so close. We'll get into this more later in the episode, but the East is so incredibly close right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're 2 games out of the play-in. Like,
Yeah.
it's a little rough right now, and it's not. It's like we keep saying this. The Knicks are not a bad team. We're just in a really, really bad stretch, and I feel like that's the first time I can actually say that and mean it, because when OG came to the team, I was so excited, and I saw the difference immediately. For some reason, Isaiah Hartenstein was getting more open than typically, grabbing more rebounds like a freaking maniac. It helped more in more than just one way, and enhanced more than just one player. And I think when we have the ability, look, I want to say this correctly, because I don't want to, of course, as a Knicks fan, I wanted us to see us be top 3 in the East this year, because I really felt like we can get that positioning. No doubt in my mind we can. But man, if we need to be a play-in team for this season so our team can be 100% healthy, cook, Leon, cook.
Right. It's just so difficult because it's there. You really have no games to lose. I mean, we did the most winning of any team in January, but just one poor month of February kind of has evened that back out. We're right where we were a couple months ago, just 6, 7, 8, kind of right on the fringes. Teams like Orlando, teams like Cleveland, teams like Milwaukee, teams that are healthy right now, they're going to be ripping off wins, 2, 3, 4 wins a week sometimes. So if we're just struggling with the Detroit Pistons of the world and, the Philly 76ers of the world that, without Embiid, certainly, those are games that we are going to have to win and that's assuming that we hit the ground running when the injuries come back. Who's to say that OG's not going to play well for that first week or 2 he's back? Who's to say Randall's not going to take a few weeks to get back? Mitchell Robinson, we've seen his conditioning be a problem before coming back from injuries. Obviously, and, this is a lower extremity injury. So how is his conditioning going to be? It's sometimes taking him weeks or a month to get going. So, the best case scenario, which I think a lot of fans are hoping for, obviously, is as soon as these guys come back, we go right back to winning. But I don't know if that's necessarily.
Here's what I'll say to that. I feel like it could happen with OG and Randall, because those two have proven to be very durable players and can play through pain if possible. I will say the big question mark is Mitchell Robinson, and I do feel like maybe it might be best if we were to be in the play-in by that time, maybe to sit him and take him off the bench, give him 15 minutes and give him time to develop, because again, like you just said, it might take him like a month to get completely healthy.
Yeah, it's the pieces are going to have to come together very fast for a playoff run to happen. So it's tough to know right now, but right now the Knicks is kind of in survival mode. Very similar to Philly. I mean, we've seen Philly; they have shown they're capable of winning games. Tyrese Maxey can win you a game by himself. He's reached that level of a player at this point in his career. He's an all-star now. He's dragging that team right now into any sort of wins they're getting. Obviously, they're not doing great, but that team without Embiid really does not look like a serious contender. So if it's a very similar situation. No team is going to want to see Philly in the first round with Joel Embiid coming back from this injury. If he's healthy and ready to go for a playoff series, I would probably take Philly over most any team, even if they are the 8 seed or the 7 seed. So the East is looking very, I don't want to say up for grabs, because of course Boston is the clear favorite now, and they're just kind of sitting back and watching the chaos unfold and just like
that's a really good way to put it. I'll give you that.
Everything is going right for Boston, really. Like they just look leaps and bounds ahead of the pack, and then you've got Milwaukee with their head coaching turmoils, and Knicks and Sixers with injuries. Cavs are a young team. Orlando's a young team. Like
not to mention that Boston is 10-0. Like in the past 10 games.
Are they really? They're on a 10-game streak?
Yeah, they're on a 10-game streak.
I mean, it's all.
We were right there, man. We were right there. If we just won against the Lakers that one game, we were so close. I'm so mad. But they outplayed us that game. I can't lie. They outplayed us.
Yeah, Boston's just been incredible. So their path to the conference finals certainly looks, I don't want to say secure because it's the NBA. Anything can happen.
The Miami Heat are still a threat, no matter where they are.
Yeah, the Heat, they're just there. And, I think most fans don't give the Heat enough credit for being a big picture team. Like Jimmy Butler, he's not had the greatest season. He didn't make the All-Star team. Right. I really do think he's just absolutely on the back burner right now. He could not care less. He knows as long as the Heat are in the playoffs, that he's going to turn it up another few notches. I think Spoelstra's a very big picture head coach, which I like about him. They don't play their guys too much. They don't, they don't play guys through injuries. They trust their, 13th and 14th and 15 guys to give them regular season minutes just to get them through a stretch. So if the Miami Heat are in the playoffs, they're going to be a threat. And I think, obviously that was never more evident than last year.
Yeah. And you know what? It only attests to the Heat culture, right?
Culture.
Yeah, and it's not a joke, right? Because when we talk about Heat culture, we like to tease the Heat fans when they like to say that, but it's a real thing. It's a very real thing, because the Miami Heat, when they're under Eric Spoelstra, under any era they've been under, they've been a threat. So, shout out to Eric Spoelstra. He's held on a job for almost more than a decade, I want to say.
Oh, it's been more than a decade.
Way more than a decade. But, man, it just shows, like, no matter what situation you put that guy in, Eric Spoelstra, he's going to make a really good playoff team.
Yeah, and I think, the big testament to Pat Riley in the front office for trusting him this long. I think a lot of teams would have just fired him after LeBron left, and they had, they did have some down years there where, they had Whiteside and past this prime D Wade, Chris Bosh unexpectedly retired. They went through some rough years there, like, 16, 17, 18. The Heat really were not much of any contender. I think they made the playoffs.
Not like us.
Year, but they got bounced pretty early. So but
not
they
like us.
Spoelstra, they, rewarded him for his 2 championships and 4 straight finals under the Braun era. They made him the guy. They rebuilt around him, honestly. They didn't just fire their coach like most teams would have. And now they're seeing the benefits. They drafted well with Bam and Hero, get Butler, and I believe a free agency, I think it was a sign and trade with Butler. I forget, but they get Jimmy Butler on board, and it's like, wow, this guy who's been on the team for 8 years, knows his stuff. So he's definitely, I think he's the second longest tenured coach now, behind obviously Popovich. So shout out to the Heat. They kept that they kept that coaching staff intact around Spoelstra. They trusted him. They built around him, and it's definitely worked. Like, the Heat have made 2 finals in the last 5 years. They've made like 3 or 4 conference finals. So teams you don't really talk about the Heat much. The national media, I feel like, doesn't really talk much about them, but they've been one of the most successful teams in the East the last couple of years. It's really been Boston, Miami, and then Milwaukee when you think about it, just in terms of doing playoff winning. And, maybe it hasn't resulted in a championship quite yet like it did for Milwaukee, but the Heat, as long as this core is together, are going to be threats.
Yes, 100%. I mean, they've proved it for the past couple of years. I have no doubt in my mind. It just disappoints me because there's a lot of teams in the NBA that honestly can be considered a really bad team all time. And now there's 2 teams in particular. You remember how Kyle Kuzma said, at this point, just don't be that team?
Oh, he did say that, didn't he?
And he was talking about the Detroit Pistons.
He did say that.
And guess where they are now?
It is not aged well. I will be the first to come to the Pistons defense and say they are not the worst team in the NBA when you really think about it. Like, Washington is definitely worse than them. And honestly, you could probably argue San Antonio as a team is worse than them. It's just they happen to have this guy.
No. Yeah. Okay. I was going to say Wemby is probably better than their entire roster.
I think the Pistons have a better top-down roster, but Wemby has won them.
Yeah. Roster-wise.
He's won them half their games by himself, basically.
Yeah.
So, and I think Popovich is, the Popovich coaching is good for a couple of those wins. So, Detroit just had the real unfortunate stress of losing those 28. But, like, if you look back at it, they played a lot of close games against good teams. Like, they were close to breaking their streak against, like, teams that are now established as, like, very good teams in both of their conferences. Whereas Washington has mostly spent the entire season getting blown out. San Antonio spends most of the season getting blown out. Portland is just getting decimated right now. Granted, they have injuries. Portland has dealt with more injuries than most teams in the league right now. So I do feel for them, but this Detroit team is not as bad as people think. Like, that they obviously the Knicks are depleted, but they almost beat the Knicks a couple nights ago. They're holding their own. They've got some wins. They're not going to be the worst team of all time. They're probably not going to be end the season with the worst record. I do think that will be either Washington. I feel like Charlotte's really bad, but they just somehow win games. I don't know how that team is winning.
Miles Bridges is a really good player.
Yeah, Bridges has been doing well. There's, Memphis, like the race to the bottom in both conferences is going to be honestly intriguing. But I would certainly say if Detroit wants to keep winning games, they probably can. Like, they can probably get to a good 15, 16 win, which might not, most years would be by far the worst team in the league, but this year might not even be like a bottom 2 team.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I have no qualms. I have no qualms.
You have no qualms. That's a good word. Qualms.
Qualms? Yeah.
Yeah, I have no qualms. That's a good, that's a nice phrase. People don't use it much, but just, I got no qualms, or I got a qualm with that,
I got a qualm.
I got a qualm. It's a good phrase. People don't use it anymore.
I want to ask your opinion on, I don't want to go here, but
okay, so
do we think, no. Do we think, I will go there. Do we think that Victor Wembanyama can actually be an all-time great player eventually?
I mean, yeah, it's why there's nothing to suggest that he can't be. I mean, certainly he can be. I mean, will he be is a different question, but the dude has lived up to pretty much every one of the lofty expectations that was set on him. Kid's 20 years old. People are already talking like he's the next Bron, next Jordan, next Kareem. It's lofty expectations, but I mean, he's putting up 5x5 games. He's dropping 30 points. He's dropping, consistent double-digit rebounds, consistent 3 to 4 blocks a game. Like, if he stays healthy, he will absolutely set the NBA record for, single season block records. Like, averaging the most, well, I don't know, because they didn't keep blocks back when Wilton Russell played. But in terms of the numbers we do know, he'll break every sort of block record ever, imaginable. He's getting assists. He's getting steals. I mean, he absolutely could be the best player in the NBA in not that long. Like, it's tough to say that it's tough to live up to the expectation that people set on him, but he is absolutely meeting them, if not exceeding them. Like, he's farther along right now than I certainly thought he would be.
Somebody said that he was a better Anthony Davis somebody said that. I don't remember. He said he was a better Anthony Davis right now, too.
I think right now you still go Davis, but in a couple, I mean, the play styles aren't terribly unsimilar. Both defensive presences with a very versatile offensive game. Inside and outside bigs who can play in the post. So I see the comparison. I think right now you still take Davis. Davis still knows the tricks of the trade.
Yeah,
he's still got a much better offensive bag than Wemby has at the moment. But in 3 to 4 years, I mean, Wemby should be clear of AD by then.
Did you see the way he carried it over Derek White? It was like,
I mean, yeah. I mean, the game is it's going to be so
easy for him.
He keeps working at it. That's the thing is that it's just going to get easier and easier as he builds. I know he doesn't want to get buff, but I feel like if he just puts a little muscle on, a little bit more, right? Yeah. I feel like he will be a dominant player. There's a fine line. I think his inherent athleticism
100%
is what makes him great, but he can definitely stand to put a little more muscle on the arms, a little more muscle on the legs. I think that will come with time. We've seen NBA players
maturity. It's more or less maturity.
Their frame a little bit more, and again, he's only 20, so
Chet needs to do that too. If Chet wants to even think about competing against Wemby in any regard, and not be known as the second, not to be known as the second Kevin Durant.
I feel like being known as the second Kevin Durant is still very
You know why I'll say that? You know why I say that, though? Because Kevin Durant was number 2 to LeBron James when they were playing in their primes. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah. No, he was. Durant, Durant was never that guy. He had the unfortunate fate of playing, against LeBron. But I mean, you could argue Durant was better than his. Durant's probably been better than LeBron for a decent stretch now. If we're just
now. But I'm talking about their primes, right?
Yeah, I mean, but still, it's 1 and 1A.
Okay,
but both those guys.
That's what I'm trying to say.
They'll develop into the frames, and I feel bad for Chet because he really should be rookie. Like, he's putting up great numbers. Like, again, most other years he would win Rookie of the Year, but he's got the unfortunate.
He would have won it last year, no doubt.
Yeah, he would have 100%.
He would have won it last year if he played like that last year. Ooh.
I mean, Paolo still had a very good year last year. Don't get me wrong, Paolo has been great so far in the league, but. Wemby has just been otherworldly. Like, he is putting up borderline all-star numbers. Yeah. I mean, all-star appearance in his second year is most definitely on the cards. If anything, you probably would bet on it at this point. As long as the Spurs aren't a terrible team next year, and if he takes any sort of step forward with the steps he takes, that's going to be a pretty big step.
The trend I'm actually seeing with the all-star game is the fact that every player chosen, except for later on when they added Scotty Barnes and Trae Young to the mix, everybody in that East team has a positive record.
Yeah, record sadly does have a very big part on the All-Star team. I've never been a fan of that. I think the All-Star weekend
Me
is about
too.
individual
I thought that
players
was
and
dumb as well.
performances. I would like to see the 12 or 13 best players from each conference, regardless of how good or bad their team is. You can, and obviously context matters, of course. You've got to understand, who else is on their team that could be taking numbers away from them or inflating their stats somehow. But yeah, I think Wemby, if he's doing 30-point games, 15 rebounds, 5x5s, hitting threes. I mean, the guy is hitting 3-pointers now. He's facilitating the ball way better than people thought he could. He's got better passing vision than the average big man. If he's doing this next year, he should absolutely be an all-star, regardless of San Antonio's record.
Definitely. I mean, I was looking at the stat, to be honest, and I was like, really? Because I had to compare it almost manually, because I remember we got into an argument on the sleeper chat, and it was like with Daniel, and he was like just shitting on Brunson, right? Like Brunson was catching strays, right? And I was just like, bro, like, I agree with you. Like, Trae Young should have been in the All-Star game, but not over Brunson. Like, maybe over Maxey, maybe over other players, even though they're playing really well as well. But why are you catching strays? And then I was looking it up, and then I realized, I was like, oh, like, everybody on the East team has a positive record. So maybe that's a really big influence.
It is, and it also has a big influence on like end of season voting as well. Like like the MVP is typically one of the top 3 or 4 records in all of basketball, and that's a narrative that we're seeing right now with Jason Tatum. Tatum is campaigning for his MVP on the basis of we're clearly the best regular season team right now. I'm the best player on that team. I'm sacrificing some of my stats to be able to help winning. And right. I'm not going to have the numbers of an Embiid. I'm not going to have the triple doubles of a Jokic. But that's because, I'm taking a slight step back in order to help my team win, which, it's a valid argument. Like, I can't lie. He's not going to end the season with as the scoring champ. He's not going to end the season with the most insane stat lines or fantasy point averages like a Luka is going to, or a Jokic or a Giannis is going to. The argument for Tatum being MVP, and this is something we'll see ramp up more, is the fact that the Celtics seem to be unanimously the best team right now in the NBA. Obviously, things can change. The Nuggets are very good. The Clippers are very good. A healthy Sixers are very good. But with the amount of winning they're doing, where Tatum is the driving factor basically night in, night out. I mean, people say his defense has gotten a lot better. His playmaking has gotten a lot better. Start, yeah. He's matured into a bona fide superstar. And he's been doing this. It's been a couple of years of this. I'm not going to act like it's just this season. But the team around him is completely bought in. And he is just like the absolute leader of this team. And he's just taken another step in terms of that maturity and leadership. So on those grounds, you could definitely argue Tatum for MVP this year.
Tatum for MVP this year is a very valid take. I feel like that's not a ridiculous statement at all. I feel like he does, deserve that credit in one regard. However, there is some certain things that I feel like is holding him back, where he never won an NBA Finals, which unfortunately, that shouldn't.
It does. I meuld say
it makes no sense. You know what? That's what I was going to say. It makes no sense to do that, because there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, it's like, they like to how can I say this? Discredit his ability because he has other people on his squad that are pretty good. Does that make sense when I say that, or am I?
Yeah, they've given the MVP. The MVP doesn't seem to have any bearing on like past precedent. Like they gave the MVP to Embiid. They gave them the Jokic
exactly. So it's like, why are people putting that? Why are they putting that on Tatum though?
I don't think that's in terms of the MVP conversation. I feel like that's more just in terms of like a greater.
I remember
about where does Tatum fit in like the superstar ecosystem.
So here's the thing. I was listening to First Take. Now, I'm not sure if it was Mad Dog. I'm not sure if it was somebody else. I just know it wasn't Stephen A. Smith that said this. Maybe it was Kendrick Perkins. But they said something along the lines of maybe if Tatum won a Finals MVP, maybe they could consider him for MVP of the league. And I just thought of that. I was like, so Embiid has to win a championship now, but he already has an MVP. Nikola Jokic won an MVP before he was a champion. Like that, like with all due respect to whoever was saying that doesn't make any sense.
I don't think the voters are going to think about that. I mean, maybe they will. A lot of the voters are media members, so you never know how people are going to twist narratives and interpret it to vote one way or the other. But I think when you're talking about the greater, ecosystem of superstars, and you've got to give the benefit. You've got to give the slight edge because all these guys are so great. The top 5 are just, phenomenal all-time greats, all of them respectively. Yeah. So you've got to give the edge to, Jokic and Giannis, who have done it in the finals, who have won finals MVPs, had standout playoff performances. You've got to give them the edge, just the slightest. But in terms of determining who should be the MVP of this season right now, who's been the best in this 82-game stretch, 2023-2024 regular season, you're only looking at those 82 games. It doesn't matter how many MVPs you have in the past, how many finals MVPs, although I'm sure it will factor in somehow. But I always like seeing the award go to the best player, the most deserving player that season. So,
right.
I think if Tatum doesn't win it this year, I think he will get there eventually. Sooner or later, he will. But it's definitely going to be a good chance because obviously now Embiid physically can't win it because of the games thing. Jokic will be in that conversation. Giannis could be in there if, the Bucks get back up the standings. But if they finish 4th or lower in the East, which is looking like a possibility, I don't see him being in that conversation.
Yeah.
I know Shea was in there earlier in the season. I feel like that narrative has kind of died down.
No, it has not.
Or another.
No, it has not. Because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's average, I'm going to look that up.
I'm not saying he's gotten any worse. I just feel like the narrative isn't as present anymore. Like people,
I feel like
people aren't as surprised by it anymore. They've come to expect this type of.
I'm still a little surprised though. That's the thing because the Oklahoma City Thunder still stand at 2 in the Western Conference, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has only gotten better. I think he's a valid candidate, but I also do think they're going to consider Nikola Jokic a little more.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. I think he will be in that conversation, but I think in terms of you have to pick a winner right now, I would have to say either Tatum or Jokic are probably the front runners because those ultimately are the 2 best teams this year. And like you said, winning in the regular season is a super large determinant. I think the only time we've seen a non-winning regular season player win is when Westbrook had that crazy triple-double season back in 18 and 19 and the Thunder were the 6th seed. Where it was just they had to give it to him, basically. There's no way they couldn't. But if it's a close race like this, numbers-wise, they're always going to err on the side of the better team. That's what they did in the All-Star break, too. Like you said, pretty much everyone who made the All-Star team was on a winning team. So winning in the regular season matters, I think, in the context of regular season awards like All-Star and like MVP. But when you're talking about all-time greatness and all-time precedent and who's, you're ranking the top guys in the league right now, that's when you start to look at playoff success and playoff performers. And you give the edge to the guys who have shown they can do that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you, and that's something. Bless you.
Thank you. Got the muted.
You muted it just in time. You speedy with it. All right, I like that.
I was searching for the mute button. I was. We got it. I was like, darn it, where is it? I'm not used to this.
Boom. He said, "Boom." I'm sorry. That was lightning quick.
I try.
Remember those NASCARs you called? Remember I called you that one time, and it was like it was like before this podcast. And you were like, I found some awesome race cars.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I remember that.
I want to see them. I want to see them one day. You gotta show them.
Oh yeah, I got a whole collection over there.
Oh man, that's
you can do a collection vid at some point, but yeah.
No, I feel you. I feel the same way about my millions and millions of Funko Pops that you guys can't see right now. But
you're surrounded by Funkos. I know you're surrounded.
Yeah, I am. There's right here. There's one in my computer.
In your computer? Like physically inside of it?
Yeah. I have an open computer. I have an open case.
Okay.
Yeah, I opened it because there's better airflow and stuff. When I close it in, it gets a little hot and stuff.
Okay. But so he literally just lives in amongst the wires. And
because I got a certain one here. I got a certain one. And I had to buy a bundle to get this one with the Chase sticker. So okay. I had like 4 extra.
No, that's fair. It just threw me for a loop when you were like, I have one in my computer. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
What do you I have one in my computer.
I have one in my computer. Yeah. But no NBA and Funko Pops, believe it or not.
Yeah, do you take your Funkos out of the box, or are you
sometimes?
A person?
Sometimes I'm very minimalist. Like all of my stuff is okay. So I have a section right over here where it's all of my signed Funko Pops. I keep those in hard stacks, like on the side. You know what? I have 2 up here actually that are actually in hard stacks as well. But most of my signed expensive ones are over there.
Okay, I have one. That's fair.
Yeah, I have one coming. actually on the way. That's I sent mine in to get it signed by the Japanese voice actor, the original voice actor.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's coming back soon, so I can't wait to see it because I'm gonna send it right to like JSA, get it graded. It's over.
So yeah, okay, so you are a grader then.
In some regard, yes, I have a graded one back there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I mess with Funkos. I got a couple Funkos myself. Not really a big collector or anything, but I've got a few. You know, they're cool. If I see one, if I'm in Newberry Comics and I see one, I'll pick one up. I don't like actively seek them out.
Okay. No, you know what? That's fair because I used to be like that, and I only had a few as well. I mean, I only collect the One Piece collection really because they have they have a shit ton. Like if I pulled out the list, you would be like, "That's only like for this one title anime," and I'd be like, "Yes," and you'd be like, "No fucking shot." And I'd tell you that's not even the biggest line that they have.
Oh no! I mean, there's billions of Funkos. Probably more Funkos in existence than there are people on the planet.
In variety, yes, but apparently there's only like 1,500 and something. I don't know. They number them now though.
I feel like there's like thousands and thousands of them. I mean, there's so many different variants. Like you get multiple variants of each character. There could be 5 different like SpongeBobs.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is. Like I'm looking at a few right now. The one that I showed you before is a variant of another one, and then that variant is part of another one that I have, and then that other one was the original one, but then they made another variant that was made very recently because of the new chapters. So yeah, it gave you a headache. So I could see that.
I'm trying to keep up with all this, but like. Yeah, my friends think I'm silly for buying $15 dolls. I can only imagine if I showed them your collection.
They call it silly, but then I have it signed, so then they get jealous.
I feel like it's better when you have a lot of them because then it's at least like okay, like
this is your thing.
Like you look at a whole wall of like Funkos and some are signed and some are good. Like okay, at least like you're bought into it. It's debatably worse what I used to just buy a few here and there, and it's like. At that point,
enjoy your life, man. Fuck the haters, even though they're.
I mean, I'm buying them one way or the other. I haven't stopped buying them because they say that. If I see a Funko, I'm not gonna be like, "Damn."
I mean, to be completely,
I'm spending $15 on this. This is awesome.
I mean, to be completely fair, I haven't been buying much recently. I'm just trying to focus on the One Piece like collection at that point because there's so many that I want to collect, but I need to finish the One Piece collection.
Yeah, you're putting your money into that Madden grind.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun too. The Madden was fun. Believe it or not.
Yeah. Wait till you play online. You won't have fun.
No, I won't. But I've just been what's it called? I've just been getting my roster better because I have a lot of VC. I'm like, for coins or whatever they call it. I call them VC. It's still virtual currency.
Yeah, it's you know.
By the way, I do want to bring this up because me and Earl talked about it before, but we are going to start streaming on the BTB's Twitch, and then we'll link it to our YouTube, so we'll have the same thing. So now we're gonna start streaming Madden, 2K, maybe some Fortnite, maybe some other stuff, and if you guys want to tune into that, let us know, and the link will be in bio.
Yeah, you also play some anime games.
No, they're not that fun.
Really? There's not like an anime game market?
There's one anime game market. There's only one anime game that I really liked, and I got it for free. So you already know it's not that good. Let's be honest.
Damn, that's weird. I feel like it's surprising me that there's not a better like gaming environment for that. With how passionate people are.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Because what people like to... For anime, what they like to do, they can make like I don't know how, it's like a turn-based game, right? I'm not sure the terminology for it. I forgot the terminology for it, but it's like a turn-based game where one person attacks, and then after that, the boss attacks, and then you attack with another person. And I forgot the description. It's like an
RPG.
Like
Pokemon, kind of.
No, like, have you ever heard of Mario RPG?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I'm not really like that. I'm not like into that kind of game personally, but I get what you're going for. I'm just
trying to look at what type of game it is because I think they call it an RPG, but I'm not sure. I do want to play this game. I'm just looking at
maybe Omar will be playing it on BTB, so you can tune in for that.
Yeah, I've been playing this game on my own channel. If everybody wants to check that out, if you guys are know Super Mario 64, there's this ROM hack that came out a while ago that I decided to play, and it's super creepy. Like I raged quit. I rage quit in one clip. I go in. It's towards the end of the clip, and I'm just like, and it scared me because I entered a room, and then it was a corrupted room where the toad turns into this beast, and then it just cuts out. The emulator just shits itself, and it's like you can no longer play. And then I open it up and I can play it again, but it's just part of the show, as the creator likes to call it. So if you guys want to follow that along, go ahead on my YouTube channel, Omeo Productions.
Don't let the title deter you. You got to figure out how to fix that title. It's just a bunch of letters and numbers.
What?
The titles of your streams, it's just like a dash of code.
It's not a dash of code. What are you talking? My username?
No, like when you the stream title, like when you stream the game, it's just like ROM emulator, bunch of numbers or whatever.
No, that's the name of it. B3313.
Yeah, that's also the name of when you stream the game. That's also the title of your stream. You know that, right?
What do you mean?
I'm pretty sure that's what I've seen. Maybe you fixed it, but like I remember being like, "Damn, why do you not have a title right now? Your title is just like a bunch of letters and numbers."
That's the name of the ROM hack. It's weird.
Well, it's also the name of your stream, so you might want to fix that. Not your channel, but like the video / stream itself.
I gotta look that up then, because I don't know what you're talking about, but we'll fix that in a second. Let's get back to NBA.
Yes, sorry. We got derailed.
We had to derail real quick, but we're bringing it back. State of the Lakers. Do you think they're an actual playoff? I mean, obviously they're a playoff threat, but do you think they'll even get out of the play-in at this point?
Are you asking me, do you think they're going to finish in the top 6?
Sure.
It's tough. I mean, I'll look at like the West standings right now, but like they're just too inconsistent. They're too flip-floppy. They're too up and down. They bring it one night, they don't bring it the next night. I can't say I fully believe in the Lakers right now to make like a consistent playoff.
They are 10th, 33-28.
Yeah, they're 10th. I mean, they're not that. They're what? They're 3 games back of 6, but they got to jump Golden State. I think Golden State looks really good right now. Maybe I'm biased.
They win one more game, they'll get ahead of Golden State. It's gonna be a slow climb. But
I just think I back Golden State to win more games from here.
See, here's the thing: if they beat Golden State and get about 34 wins, they'll head above Golden State. But they'll have to get 36 wins to pass the Kings and the Mavericks.
Yeah, honestly, I see the Lakers as a firm play-in team. If anything, and I really hate saying this, there might be a better chance they fall out of the play-in than jump into the playoffs, if that makes sense. Like, I could see them finishing 11th more than I could see them finishing 6th, which is weird to think about, but they're just too up and down. And, their defense is inconsistent. Their offense is obviously notoriously inconsistent with Russell and,
Spencer Dinwiddie thinking they're going to get that better. Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah, I mean, Dinwiddie, again, it's just like some nights you look at the Lakers, you're like, wow, this is the vision. Like, I see the Rob Pelinka LeBron vision. Like, this is the team they want to rock with in the playoffs. And then the next night they just go lose a game they have no business losing. And it's like, at some point, y'all just got to show up consistently. And it's like, the only time they do show up consistently was in the in-season tournament. That was like their best stretch of consecutive games. Since then, it feels like they're 2 up and then they're 1 down, or they're 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And the West is just too congested to get away with that, because Golden State's ripping off a bunch of wins now. I think Golden State could finish in the top 6. I could see that happening with a healthy Clay and a healthy Curry and a healthy CP3. If Wiggins comes back and plays some games, I could totally see Golden State getting in the top 6. I don't see them jumping them.
I don't know yet.
Dallas, like, these are not pushover teams. Like, and you look at the teams that like are below the Lakers, like Houston and Utah. That's kind of who they're racing right now. And it's like, you're telling me Utah can't rip a few off. You're telling me Houston can't rip a few off. So I don't know. I can't sit here with any confidence and say the Lakers are even going to be in the play-in. Like, that's the crazy thing to think about. They might miss out by half a game or a game. They're not going to be far off, but it's not crazy to think the Lakers won't even be a part of the postseason, despite having mostly a healthy Braun and AD. That's just how inconsistent the team is. Not bad necessarily. They're not an untalented roster. Like, there's nights where D'Lo just pops off, or Reeves pops off, or Vando, when he was healthy, had great defensive games, and Rui had great defensive games. But right now, they're just not getting it from those guys night in and night out. And when the league is as close as it is right now, you're going to lose a lot of those games.
Yeah. And you know what? I have to say this. Shout out to the Timberwolves, man. 42-18. Yeah. They have not slowed down.
They haven't.
7 and
OKC.
7. Really? Yeah, seriously. They're battling for the top. Same with the Nuggets. Like, I can genuinely say there's 5 contenders in the Western Conference as it stands. Timberwolves, Thunder, Denver, Clippers, Suns. You know what? Maybe the Pelicans. Maybe not.
I'll throw the Pelicans in there at the bottom of that conversation. Like,
yeah,
that I agree with you there. I think
I'm not taking anybody else seriously. Yeah.
What I like about New Orleans is they have been to the playoffs, and this is the core of the nucleus of this team has been playing together for a good bit. They've got some experience together. You know, do they have that top end talent that, you know, they don't have a Shea, they don't have an Anthony Edwards, they don't have a Jokic, they don't have a Kawhi Leonard. So it's difficult to put them in that conversation. But I mean, you talk about doing it by committee: Zion, Ingram, Valanciunas, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, McCollum, you know, Jose Alvarado, even top down, one of the best rosters in the West. And, you know, Willie Green is their coach, mostly an unknown, but I'm personally a Willie Green believer. I think he's done a very good job since he's been coach. There doesn't seem to be any sort of drama coming out of New Orleans in terms of like minutes distribution or defensive plans. Like, the players seem really bought in. He's a former player. You know, he understands the modern NBA. He seems to have a grip of that.
I also think Zion has finally bought in. I think Zion has finally completely bought into the Pelicans organization. I believe for the past few years he hasn't been bought in, but I think he's bought in now.
Yeah, it's just with Zion being, you know, healthy, it's a big, you know, he is the nucleus of this team, because like you see him, sometimes he runs point center. A lot of times he's in the paint drawing fouls, which makes other guys' lives easier. He is kind of the focal point of the offense. Ingram's probably the more talented scorer, the more gifted scorer. He can get his shot wherever, whenever, which is very helpful when it comes down to like fourth quarters and they're going to be throwing doubles at Zion in the post and the game slows down. Ingram can really just play in the half court, I think, a little bit better than Zion. But those two as a duo seem to work well together. McCollum as a third option is really good. I just like what they got going on. So if there is a sleeper, quote unquote sleeper out west, I'd probably say the Pels and maybe even Golden State. I would say those are my 2 sleepers. I mean, obviously Golden State gets a lot of headlines, but that's mostly because of how poorly they've been doing. I feel like more people are focused on how poorly they've been doing, and they're ignoring the fact that they're 8-2 in their last 10, currently on a 3-game streak. Yes, I think Golden State could jump into the top 6 here. It's going to be a race between Golden State, probably Phoenix, and the Pels to get those like 5-6 spots. One of those teams will be in the play-in, but I think all 3 of those teams are probably good enough to get the 6th. I don't know if I feel that way about any other team in the West right now.
Yeah, and you know what? To Golden State's credit, they got all their guys back. I feel like they're in a really good place right now. Jonathan Kuminga is playing amazing.
Chris Paul is still very good. Forgot how good he was. I mean,
right?
Like his first 2 games, he's hitting threes. He got 4 steals in his first game back. Like, dude can still play at 38.
Yes, and you know what? It only speaks to their status. And I think Golden State, they have a chance, but I also think Golden State has, like, I don't know, there's something about Golden State that doesn't sell me yet. And while I think they've been doing well in the past couple of games, it's not selling me. And do I think it'll be a hard battle to get to 7th? Yes.
Give me 6th.
No, 7th, because once they beat...
Well, 7th is in the play, and no one really wants the first play.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I forgot how that works. I thought it was like the first 8, and then it falls.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, top 6 are in, so everyone's gunning for that 6th spot. That's what I'm saying. I feel like in the West, there's 7 teams for that 6th spot. And like either Golden State, Pelicans, or the Suns are going to miss it by the slimmest margin. But I think those are the teams that are like going to be in there. Dallas, Sacramento, Lakers, Rockets. I think those are going to be your play-in mainstays.
Yeah. So I want to discuss something really interesting with you. So
You're saying the rest of this hasn't been interesting?
No, because this episode has been really good, believe it or not, even though we got one less person. But it works because we're great friends. We're pretty good friends, I would say.
Nah, I hate you.
So what I'm trying to say is, there's this it's not a theory. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It's more somebody said not somebody. I think the NBA announced that they're officially going to do 2 more teams in the Western Conference, being Seattle.
Did they say that?
I think they're planning to add 2 more expansion teams.
So it's rumors.
Rumors, but dude, even with that, it's still Seattle and Las Vegas are the two names that I've been hearing. They said they wanted to add 2 teams, and that obviously this leaves a mismatch, kind of.
Well, they're not going to add them both to the West. They're going to add one to the East, one to the West. I would imagine they'll probably put Seattle in the East. Or they might just move like a West team over to the East.
That's what let me say that. Let me say.
Okay. Sorry. I've been ahead of myself.
Let me say it. Not playing. But we broke it down. I mean, not we. Somebody on YouTube broke it down. I forgot the name. Sorry if you're listening to this and realize that we stole from you. We're not stealing from you. I just don't know your name, so I apologize.
I'm not stealing from you. It's all Omar.
But the Timberwolves would move east, considering that they're rivals with Chicago anyway. And in their college basketball and football, they're in the same division. So I believe the Timberwolves are the closest to the Eastern Conference out of these teams. But it also leaves one issue. It also leaves one pivotal issue, being the divisions. And the divisions wouldn't line up accordingly by how we have it today.
That is true.
So, this man also said that he did 2 different divisions. He did an NHL style division, and he did an NFL style division. I gotta find this. But it was really interesting.
Why don't we just get rid of divisions? Because they already don't matter. Respectfully, divisions do not matter. They don't factor into playoffs whatsoever. It's not like the NFL where they're sorted by divisions. It's by the conference. The only thing that matters about divisions is you play your division. Well, it used to be you only played your division rivals 4 times, but now you play even non-division rivals 4 times. So I think we just get rid of divisions. I think they're silly. There's literally no point in them. I would be okay with getting rid of conferences and just have the NBA just go 32 teams, sort them by record, 16, the top 16 make it, the bottom 16 don't. I would be perfectly fine with that if that's what they want to do. But divisions literally have no point. Just abolish them. Just play the teams in your region 4 times. Just make it easier. Because sometimes there's teams out of your division that are actually closer to you geographically, so it'd make more sense to play them more often.
Yep, that makes sense.
Omar, can you, I know because I'm a diehard Knicks fan, but can you name the other 4 teams in the Atlantic Division?
Yeah. Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Boston, not Cleveland.
Nope. You would think Cleveland, but no.
Give me a second. I have it right here. Not the division. Not the divisions, but not the Pacers. The Hornets, right?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, it can't be the Bucks either. Can't be the Pacers, can't be the Bucks, can't be the Bulls.
Nope.
It has to be the Hawks.
No.
Raptors! Yeah, I remember the Raptors. The Raptors. I remember that.
And that's the division that we're a part of. Now, can you name the Northwest Division?
Northwest Division being Minnesota, right? It's a really stretched out one, right? It's arguably the biggest.
Let me make sure I've got it pulled up.
I'm also trying to find this video as well because I watched this a while ago. I watch a lot of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like my point is that like nobody can name the divisions anyways. Nobody knows anything about them. They don't matter in the like.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I
So
see
why
your
do we even
point.
need them? Like conferences, again, I'm okay with getting rid of conferences, but I can understand the logic for why they're there. Divisions, pointless at this. It literally, they don't matter. Just abolish them. No one knows who's in their division. It doesn't matter for who you play. It doesn't matter for the play-in. If anything, they should have made that the play-in groups. Just make the play-in groups the division groups so the divisions matter. Maybe it'd be slightly more unfair, but like at least it would give a reason to have them. There's no reason to have them right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you. Also, Adam Silver did say that Vegas was on his list to add an NBA.
Well, yeah, but that was a while ago. That's not breaking news. There's nothing new on this story. It's just,
I'm trying to find the video. I literally can't. This is so unfortunate. I hate this. I hate this so much. It's okay. But yeah,
I think, Seattle and Vegas, those are the two names that everyone's throwing around. It's a good balance. You've got Seattle for the old heads, the long time devoted fans that miss having a team in Seattle. It's, an established fan base. Those guys have been wanting a team back for years. It's been about 20 years since OKC, took their team. Giving them their team back would be a win amongst like the OG diehard NBA fans. And then you've got one for like the new crowd, the shiny, glitzy, glamoury Las Vegas, big market, a lot of younger NBA fans out there, a budding, sports fan market, constantly growing. They're getting a bunch more sports teams. It's very, very quickly becoming a big sports city. So it's a nice balance. You get one, one old, one new. I understand why Silver does it. I'm sure if they do add two teams, it will be those two teams. I'm personally a big believer in Vancouver. I think we need another team.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I would love to see Vancouver get a team, but I would love to see Vancouver get it over Vegas. I think Seattle absolutely deserves it. I'd like Vancouver to be the second one. But
yeah, but didn't Vancouver take over? Didn't Memphis take over for Vancouver?
I think so, yeah, because they were the Vancouver Grizzlies. I don't know exactly that lineage.
Yeah, they were the Vancouver. They were the Vancouver
I think
Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies traced back to Vancouver back in like the 90s. They were the Vancouver Grizzlies. I think people speak so highly of Vancouver. It's like one of the nicest cities people say in the world. I think the fact that there was an NBA team there before.
I think it was
how close it is to the border. Like we could absolutely make that happen. We already. So
I think the main concern with Vancouver was, and we know how Denver already has like really high sea level, right? Or like really high
altitude.
I think altitude, right? I think Vancouver was like even worse, and that's why they decided to move out. Like it wasn't practical.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but we already do it for Denver. If we're going to make an exception for one, you may as well make an exception for the other, right?
I mean, no, that's the thing. It was harder. It was like really like almost unable to play in.
Really? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it was hard, dude. If you talk to people who ever played in Vancouver, it's like
I'm going to look this up right now.
It's rough up there. I'm still trying to find this video. I hate this so much.
I don't think you're going to find it, dog.
Bro, it's in my history. Like, this shouldn't be hard to find. This is my fault. I fall asleep with YouTube on. This is my fault.
So Vancouver this says it is 30 feet above sea level. What's Denver?
Wait, 30?
Yeah, Denver is 5,000 feet, dog.
Wait, what? What was I reading?
Yeah, I don't know what you're on. Vancouver is not high above sea level at all. Denver's literally in the mountains. Vancouver is not in mountains.
Highest
yeah, Denver's 5. It's like the thing that was on their jersey, like the 5,280 feet on their city jerseys. Vancouver's 30 feet. It's like normal.
Hold on. I'm trying to look it up.
I mean, I already looked it up, so.
Okay, so Denver was what, 5,000 you said?
Yeah, it's 5,000 feet. 5,280 feet above sea level. That's a lot.
Hold on. I'm trying to find.
I mean, literally, just
literally all of these places, top highest elevation cities in the U.S., they're all Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Vancouver is not in Colorado. It's not a problem.
It's all Colorado. That's crazy.
Yeah, so if we're already making, literally there's nothing wrong with playing in Vancouver. We have no reason to not go back there. If we're going to play in Canada, play in Vancouver.
I think it was, I'm sorry, I mixed it up. I was talking about Albuquerque, New Mexico. Because
very different place.
I know, because it was like people were also talking when I was listening to that video. They were also talking about Albuquerque, New Mexico, also being a location for a Mexican national team, because you know how we have
Yeah.
Toronto for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to ever, I feel like a
Grizzlies.
Mexico expansion is probably pretty far. If we ever were to do that, I would imagine it would be like Mexico City, or I mean, I know we've played some games in Mexico before, so there are, I guess, ready arenas that could host games. We've already done that, so I guess we'd probably be in one of those cities, maybe Guadalajara. I don't know. I'm just throwing a name out there.
I mean, that could be an occasion, right? And the main one could be in New Mexico if they really wanted to.
Yeah, it would make travel easier to have it in the U.S., but then I feel like it's, why are you having a Mexican team if it's not in Mexico? I feel like that would defeat the purpose.
Yeah, I guess. You know what?
It would be like it's like when Toronto was playing in Florida. It's like, why, like that was different circumstances, obviously, but it's like
Toronto playing in Florida.
It's like, it doesn't, at that point, just make them the New Mexico.
Yeah. I mean, look, at least it wouldn't be that off if they were to do it, because
it wouldn't be terribly
from Mexico, and then it would be like, yeah.
But I would be surprised if they just did a half-hearted, like, oh, we're just gonna put them back. I feel like most people would not like that. They're like, why would we have to go to New Mexico anyways? We'd rather just go to Mexico. Wait.
Like, yeah. I mean, I feel you know what? Maybe that's the case. You know what? Maybe Mexico should get like a national team. Why not? And be represented in the NBA.
Yeah, I think it's probably something they're looking at long term. Maybe if they do a 34, if they ever expand to 34,
yeah,
that could be an option. Maybe
it was okay. This is something interesting because this was on the odds. This was on the odds books. I've seen it. France actually has the least highest. They're on the list out of NBA cities to possibly be in tour of. France was like 5th on the list.
Well, it's not a city; it's a country.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I don't. Do you mean like
actually
like Paris?
Yeah, I'm bugging. Oh yes, Paris. Sorry, it was Paris, France. Sorry. Yes.
You
sorry.
said all of France. I'm like,
yes.
What?
No. Paris, France.
I mean, the argument there is if Wemby becomes the GOAT, you want to have a team. You want to have a team in Paris.
Let me dip real quick. Like,
yeah,
he's gonna go. He's gonna go play for the Paris. Come on, say something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would ever happen because unless air travel,
it's too far, bro. It's too far. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. We can just fly over the border, but flight over the entire Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, Toronto is like what, 3 hours? Not even.
I mean, from here, probably but like
from
like the East Coast, it is, but.
Anywhere
else. No team is going to want to fly over the Pacific more than once a year. They already hate doing it once a year to go play like a London game or a Germany game.
I don't think you would necessarily have to fly over the Pacific, but that's just my opinion.
Wait, not the Pacific. I'm not saying the Atlantic. No one's going to want to fly over the Atlantic. And plus the time, you got to think about time zone,
Yeah, time zone is going to kill people. Yeah, it's...
It would be a logistical nightmare for the league. Mexico is doable.
Yeah, Mexico is
Europe's doable. Not. I don't think we would ever see that unless we get like very, very instantaneous air travel, but that's a different story.
I mean, maybe if they like do like a sea train or something.
Yeah, if we get like a 1 hour sea train, maybe, but then that still doesn't.
1 hour is insane. I don't think they could do that. If they put the bullet trains that they have in China, maybe throw it underwater, see what happens. I don't know.
Maybe, but again, it's like then you're still having NBA games on at like 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
yeah.
The France time offset is too great. Or
it's too much. No, I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. It's just like what I was
cool to think about. It'd be cool, but logistically, I doubt it would ever happen. Right now, let's just hope we get Seattle and Las Vegas. Those would be two nice teams. Put them both in the West. Like you said, move Minnesota to the East. That'd be fine. Yeah. There's probably some other Western teams. New Orleans could probably go to the East, I think. They're not that.
Yeah, I mean, it only needs to be one team. If you take one team out and you add it to the Eastern Conference, then there's no need for a new team in the Eastern Conference. You already have it evened out. But
you just know what team's over.
Yeah, that's about it. I think we can end it off here. Not much to talk about in the NBA news today.
Just before we go, we do have, both Westbrook and Scotty Barnes broke their hands. We didn't get to that.
Yeah, what is that?
Bad luck.
They're both out indefinitely?
I think Barnes broke it on a rim. I didn't see the clip. I think he I think he was trying to block a shot or something. And players always do that. They always smack the backboard. And I'm like, one of y'all is going to hurt your hand doing this. And I think it may have happened.
I heard it. I heard it hurts to dunk with your hands.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, it can happen, So
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. I know
hurts.
we'll probably talk more about that next week when we have a little bit more definite news about that. But I think it just happened yesterday or like a day or two ago. So we're not super sure. So we'll talk more about that in next week's episode of Beyond the Backboard Podcast, where hopefully we'll have our boy Earl back. Hopefully he'll be good to go. Hopefully Omar's foot will be good to go. We'll get a full, healthy, dynamic trio for next week. And if you guys are excited for that, be sure to leave a like on the video and comment down below. As always, check us out on Spotify. We got clips going up on TikTok. You know where to find us, all the good places. And we'll be heading off. This was episode 26, Omar. We're halfway through a year. We've almost done a year's worth.
Yeah, right? That's amazing. That's amazing. That is amazing.
Half a year of weekly uploads. So we appreciate y'all for sticking with us. I've been Max. This has been Omar. We'll get Earl back next week, and we'll see y'all then.
Peace.
I got infinity money.